haven't seen you here in a long time. What are you doing?
Oh, hey. I just got an itch to do some painting.
Finally, my brothers will get to see the fields of battle.
What? Oh, no, I'm not painting any Space Marines.
What? What possible reason could you have for not painting the Emperor's chosen soldiers?
I'm painting Malifaux. These are some of the coolest models that I have ever seen.
Once more, I return to the slaughter.
What? Ah! Over the last year, I have tried my hand at a few different tabletop war games. I have loved tabletop war games ever since I was a little kid and I walked into my local game shop and saw Warhammer, up on the walls and painted behind display shelves. And I just thought, this is amazing. Talk about a hobby that just sucked me in from the get-go. And so I've been dabbling, I don't know if any of you are like me, but when you finally got to the point where you had adult money and you were looking into Warhammer, you realized that it is a lot more complicated, out of reach, difficult maybe to get into than you had originally thought. I'm not saying it's not worth it.
It's too expensive.
But for those of you who are like me and have a full-time job and kids and things like that, it's not exactly easy to get away for thousands of hours to paint an army and to learn the rules and to spend all this money and all these other things. And so you look for something else. You look for something that we'll say is a little bit easier. And so I've been looking to the other tabletop war games out there like War Machine, Infinity, Battletech, one-page rules, and today I'm looking at Malifaux. And how I want to do that is simple. I'm going to talk about the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like about it, and hopefully you'll correct me on everything that I'm wrong on because, well, I'm good at being wrong. So let me know what I'm wrong about.
Don't be proud of that.
So what Malifaux is it's a tabletop skirmish game. And what that means is instead of having an army of 100 units or 50 units or even 30 units, you're looking at about 7 or 8, depending on the army you have. You may have a little more, you may have a little less, which in my mind makes the game much more user-friendly in both cost and in ease of painting. Sure, you only have 7 units, but you're able to paint those to the best of your abilities without spending 1,000 hours on it. And to me, it goes a long way. It's a turn-based, back and forth, and the big thing that sets Malifaux apart from a lot of the other games is that instead of using dice, you actually use face cards. Okay, and they have their own special face cards that are, the fate deck is what they call it. But in all honesty, you can just use a standard deck of cards as long as you still have both jokers that come with that deck of cards. And it's pretty interesting. Okay, so let's get into this with the good. First off, lore to me is important. I know to a lot of people it's not, but I like to know why I'm attacking other people and shooting goblins or bears or whatever it is that I'm supposed to be killing. And the lore of this game is awesome. It takes place in a very steampunk-esque type world where you still have your cowboys and, your mining carts and trains and all this stuff. And basically, in the normal world, a giant rift or gateway opened up into this other world called Malifaux. And what did we do? Well, we built a train that goes through this rift into Malifaux. And on the other side, there's magic crystals, there's ancient forces of death and destruction, and it's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, there are a lot of factions, there are a lot of unique characters in this world, and they have a podcast that you can go into and listen to, little 15, 20-minute snippets that are broadcast like an old radio show. And I'll put a link to those podcasts below, but they're awesome. They're amazing, and they let you know the story person by person as it goes from when it started till now. And the quality of them is really good. I mean, at the beginning they're a little rough to get through audio-wise, but they figure it out, and it gets awesome, and they're all worth listening to. So if you like lore, this is a great place to start. I think their models look amazing. This is the first game that I have played other than Warhammer that came with plastic models on a sprue. Okay, and so I got to mess around with putting those together, and we'll talk about putting them together a little bit later. But when they were done, just looking at these models, I thought, these are amazing. I thought the quality is great. It's just as good as Warhammer. I won't say better, but it's just as good. They were, in my experience, easy to put together. The models that I got, the core boxes that I put together, were a breeze. I didn't even need instructions to do it, and I just glued them together. They have seams. They do a good job at hiding some seams, and they have some other seams that are just like, it was like they didn't try very hard. But overall, the models are really good. And the gameplay is just versatile. There's so much that you can do. You know, you're not restricted to only using your faction's members. You can pull in other faction members into your crew as you fight. There are a lot of mechanics, like a ton of mechanics. But with that, the rules are free. You can just download them. It's like 50 pages. You can print it, you know, front and back. That's 25 pages. That's not a lot. Okay, and it goes back and forth, so you're not waiting hours and hours and hours to play. In my mind, it's a very solid game that is quite user-friendly. And I mean, you can buy two core boxes, which is enough to play, for $130 or less if you find them on sale, right? And then you can get into this game and you can play it with just a normal deck of cards. You don't have to buy anything else. So as far as like cheap and easy to get into, this game's amazing. Two more things to mention really quickly are, first, every time you buy a box, it comes with the cards for each character. Okay? They're yours. You can do whatever you want with them. They're bigger than normal cards, so if you want like protectors for them, you got to get like tarot-sized ones, which isn't a big deal. And you can use those when you play because they have health markers on them. Or the other thing that I wanted to mention is that the game has a free app that lets you build your army, look up characters. Any new updates that happen to the characters are on the app. It just makes playing this game really easy, and you have it at your disposal. And because your opponent only has 7 characters, if you want to look up their character on the app while you're playing, not a big deal. Quick and easy. So, on to the not so good, or as I like to call it, the bad about this game. Because it doesn't use dice, because it uses the cards, there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve that you have to get into, and it can be a little difficult. And I'm going off of what other people have said. I don't think it's that difficult. I think it's quite easy to learn, but when you know so many other things and you've used dice for so long, it's just different. And it can be a little annoying at times, but it also adds this extra element to the game that I think is awesome, because you literally get to have a hand of cards that you can use, and choosing when to use those cards to your benefit adds a little bit of like flair and skill. Think of like skill as in poker skill to this game, but it can change everything.
Actually, scratch that. I'm addicted to gambling.
So yes, that could be a bad, it could be a good as well. If you're sick of dice and hate them and don't want to buy 1,000 of them. Okay. The other thing that's bad about this game that, again, is what I'm hearing, is that the models, I said that I put them together without instructions. That wasn't because I didn't look at instructions. It was because they didn't come with any. Okay, you can pull their instructions up online and look at them there, but they don't come with instructions. Mine were so easy to put together that it didn't matter, and I didn't need instructions. But I have heard that a lot of their stuff is very fiddly and hard to put together. So just kind of keep that in mind, especially when you're picking your group. If their creatures or their crew members are very thin and spindly, like skeletons, they can be a little difficult to put together. And the last thing, when I think of tabletop skirmish games, I think of quick. I think of you can play in 30 to 45 minutes and you're done, which is something that I like. I know a lot of people don't, but I like that. I like being able to sit down with my son one evening and bust out a game and be done and not have to take pictures of where everything's at before I get ready for dinner, you know, or whatever it is. And so I like when they're quick. This is one of those games that it can be quick, but it can also take 2 hours. Okay, and again, with the cards and the learning curve and that extra little bit of possibility that the cards bring around, it adds to that. And so for some people, that is a definite downside to Malifaux. But in my mind, it's not a big enough one to stop me from trying. If most of the other games are out there in that time range, what do you have to lose? Okay, and the better you learn it, the quicker it's going to get. You know, and once you know everything, and once you looked at all the pieces and know how your pieces work and everything like that, it'll go a lot smoother. It's not like you're going to tournaments and there's 3-hour limits, because there has to be. You're able to get done relatively quick. And so take that as you will. And overall, that's what I love about Malifaux. That's the good, that's the bad that I've been able to see so far. I think these models are great. I think everything about this game is good. If you like the cartoony, goofy stuff, they have that. They have goblins or gremlins or whatever they are for days. And so there's something for everyone to be found in this game. And I'm not kidding. The variety is enormous. From Japanese demons to stuffed animals to steampunk golems to undead swamp monsters to the spirit of death itself. There is something in this game for just about everyone. And I hope you pick it up. I hope you try it out, because it has been one of the pleasures of my last year when it comes to finding a tabletop game that's worth playing and easy to get into. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you'll come back around. I hope to do more videos on Malifaux and painting some of their models, because, like I said, I love these models and I'm looking forward to them. And they're so out there that they're fun to paint, which is a huge thing for me. So hopefully it is for you too. And if it is, please like and subscribe. Come back. We'd love to have you. You know, here at Polskate Games, we're all about making the tabletop gaming experience better for everyone. Whether that's making your own game, whether that's 3D printing for that experience, and whether it's painting. We're into all of those things, and if any of those are something that you enjoy, stick around. And as always, don't spend so much time building your world that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.